We head out to the Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline, and we're joined by Odyssey NFL insider Brian Baldinger, host of the best football show podcast, Insider Calls, brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Brian, Baldy, welcome back to the show, sir.
Well, good afternoon, guys. It's good to be with you here. Good to join you. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you on. I hope wherever you are, you're not experiencing the Arctic winter we are.
Nope, not at all.
Oh, man.
In South Florida.
I'll be honest with you, Baldy. I was lying. I wanted you to also be suffering our pain.
No. I was doing a bowl game in Orlando last night and finished at 11:30 at night and drove to Fort Lauderdale, and so happy that I did. I'm in good shape.
That's good.
All
It's
right,
like it's -5.
Yeah, watch out for the Gators, okay?
Yeah, they'll get you.
I'm not worried about the Gators, man. Like, everybody's happy here in South Florida. They're not biting anybody. They're not attacking anybody. It's where everybody should be during this Arctic plunge that we're all going through.
Yeah,
that's not what the news tells me, Baldy.
The Gators are everywhere. All right, so I actually do want to get to the conference title round here. Let's start, before we get to the Browns or anything else, let's start with New England and Denver. How do you expect Sean Payton to handle Jarrett Stidham, his backup, being in there? Do you expect him to be a little more cautious, or do you think he's going to go full Sean Payton with Jarrett Stidham this weekend?
I mean, he's going to coach to win the game, and at some point, I mean, you can hand the ball off to whoever's playing running back. If J.K. Dobbins is back, or R.J. Harvey, whoever's in there, you can hand it off, and you can play the best defense you possibly can. You probably keep the score close, but at some point, your quarterback has got to make throws in a championship game. And the New England defense is very, very good. You saw what they did, last week to C.J. Stroud. I mean, they're very talented and they're well coached. At some point, your quarterback has got to be able to make throws the way, even though Drake may struggle a little bit. I mean, that touchdown throw to Diggs was awesome. The touchdown throw to Kayshon Boutte was awesome. At some point, your quarterback has got to make throws, and you can sort of caretake them all you want, but your quarterback, you can't hide him in a game like this.
Here's what I like about the Rams and the Seahawks game. There's just players everywhere. You can put together an all-star team between the two teams. But I look at this very simply. Who's got the better coach? Who's got the better quarterback? Who's got the better offensive line? It's all the Rams. What am I missing? I know the Seahawks are very good defensively. I know it's a great team. What am I missing where Vegas not only believes in Seattle, but a lot of people you talk to believe in Seattle?
Well, I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba did lead the league in receiving. Kenneth Walker did score 3 touchdowns last week. Gray Zabel is as good a guard as there is in football. You could go, Rashid Shaheed, if you kick off to him, you're like, good luck. They don't have 2 returners back there to return kicks. They only have him. They only want him to return it. So the 49ers found out that maybe it's not a good idea to kick off to him. So, they've got plenty. They've got their 3 tight ends as well. They've got Clint Kubiak, who's probably, at the top of the list of some coaching searches right now. I know what Matt Stafford did the last time, week 16, what they did to Seattle, throwing the ball. They beat them every time they blitzed them. They beat them when they didn't blitz them. And so that's all out there on tape. But, these championship games are played a little bit different. Seattle will be ready for it.
All right, Baldy, what do you think is the most potentially compelling Super Bowl matchup to come out of these final 4 teams?
Well, look, if you went back, I guess 8 years ago, maybe Nick Foles in a Super Bowl game against Tom Brady didn't look compelling, but it sure as hell was compelling. You couldn't leave that game for a second, and nobody knew what Nick Foles could do. I don't know what Jarrett Stidham's going to do, but I do think Denver and Seattle would be compelling. I think any combination of these 4 teams would be compelling because they all can play great defense. And so defense is going to have a chance to keep you in any game the way that you play right now. So I think any of the combinations right now could be compelling.
All right, Baldy. The search for the Browns' next head coach is down to 4. You could throw McDermott in there if you want. Who are you interested in the most, and who do you think makes the most sense for the Browns?
Well, are you including Jim Schwartz?
Of course, yeah. Schwartz, Monken, Udinsky, and then Scheelhaus is the final 4.
Yeah, well, Jim Schwartz would be at the top of my list. Because, he's been a head coach. He's probably learned from some of his mistakes. He's coached great defense. He's coached great players on that side of the ball. He's extremely confident, borderline cocky, arrogant, which I kind of like because I think players respond to that. So I mean, I think, and he's sharp. He's really smart, and he knows what it takes. So I think he knows Andrew Berry, he knows the owner, he knows how they operate, and some of the things that might have to change in order to get competitive in that division. And so, I mean, I would put Schwartz at the top of that list.
Baldy, we're hearing some interesting things about this coaching search. Tom Pelissero was on the Rich Eisen show earlier today and said, in Sound We're Going to Play coming up, that amongst other things, that the Browns are having candidates in between different rounds taking written tests, including writing essays. Does that sound like something you hear a lot in coaching searches, or is that maybe something you don't hear a lot about?
I've never heard that. I mean, I don't know if that goes on. I can't believe that goes on in many places, and I don't know what the purpose of writing essays would have to do with leading a football team. So, I mean, I'm not disputing what Tom is saying. I'm sure Tom has his good sources, as he usually does, in order to make that report. But I have no idea why anybody would ask a coaching candidate to write an essay.
Have they just gone too far into that's not even analytics. That's just, are you smart or not, I think.
I mean, I don't even know what the purpose of that is. Like, if your coach can't create his vision sitting in a room and talking to you face to face, if you can't create that vision, then I don't understand what any essay would how that would trump anything that you would get face to face with any candidate.
Yeah, it also helps explain why maybe Mike McDaniel decided, I don't want to do a second interview with the Browns, right?
But I would actually love to read an essay by Mike McDaniel. I think that would be fun. I would actually ask Mike to write an essay, because who knows where that would go. Like, that might be some fun reading right there.
All right, Baldy, we were talking about this earlier with Josh Allen being in the room for some of these interviews in Buffalo. We pondered whether Myles Garrett, a potential Defensive Player of the Year, again, for the Cleveland Browns, whether given his stature in the organization, he should be in those rooms, maybe in the interviews, getting to know the candidates so he can weigh in as well. How would you feel if whether it's Myles Garrett here or Josh Allen Buffalo, were in interviews trying to decide or help decide the next head coach of the team?
Yeah, I don't know what to think. Like, I heard that from Steve Bisciotti when they asked him if Lamar wants to be in the room to meet the coaching guys. And, you heard what Steve said. He said, well, I want to take input from all my players, but they don't have any power. So, are you giving the players power in the decision-making? Like, I just come from a different era where players and coaches coach, and I kind of like it like that. But I understand, that you want input from your players, and maybe you want to hear what they have to say about what the coaches have to say. I don't know. I can't imagine. I don't know what to think about that. I can see the good, we all can, and I can see the bad, which we all can. So I don't know where it lies. Would Myles Garrett swing the vote with the coaching candidate? I mean, I think he probably likes playing for Jim Schwartz. He's probably going to be the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year with Jim, and he probably would want Jim to be the coach, I guess. But that might not necessarily fix any of the offensive woes that this team has had at quarterback, at receiver, at offensive tackle. The weaknesses that everybody that watches the Browns knows they have. So I'm not sure what to think about that, guys. And I know I want to answer your question, but I can see the good and the bad of it.
Baldy, we obviously got a lot of time to figure out where the Browns are going this offseason. We don't even have a head coach. We don't really know who the quarterback's going to be next year either. But the way you're looking at this team coming off a 5-win season, how far away do you feel like we are from being competitive again in the NFL?
I feel like I don't know if Shador's can be the guy. I don't really know, because the team was so incomplete around him. He's handing off to rookies and throwing it to rookies, and receivers are dropping balls, and tackles can't protect. So I don't even know how to evaluate it. It seems incomplete. I don't want to write him off. He got a chance to play, and he had some good moments. But, if you take an elite quarterback out of any offense in this league, they usually just fall apart and coaches get fired. But if you put a great quarterback in that offense with legitimate and really build around them, like the defense looks pretty good to me. You know, it looks like they could really help any quarterback that you would plug in the way that, the way that they operated, the addition of Mason Graham and Schlesinger and some of the things that we saw. It was a pretty good looking operation, but I just feel like they got to get that figured out one way or the other, whoever that might be. And I don't know who that is.
All right. I hope you enjoy Florida for all of us. Great stuff as always, sir. Appreciate you. We'll catch up with you down the line.
All right, guys. You bet, man. Anytime.
Brian Baldinger there on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. He's an Odyssey NFL insider, host of the Best Football Show podcast, and Insider Calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.